Brody back straight from the FanDuel finals. Man, I was really pulling for you. I was hoping you take it down. It looked like you had a good time at least. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that? As you know, I might have to go grab the door in a minute. So tell us a little bit about your trip, and then we'll jump onto the slate, who we're playing and who we're not.
Yeah, man, it was a really good experience, man. A lot of really good DFS players out there. Really got a lot of good fun. It was a nice trip. FanDuel covered all of it, so that was nice. Just a little getaway. That was exciting. Yeah, the lineup didn't do as good. We played Boston. They didn't do as well. We had some Baltimore pieces, and we had Hap in the lineup, which worked out well, but I didn't get any bats. I had too many zeros in my lineup with bats. So yeah. I'm thinking about going back to Boston tonight, so maybe that'll work out for me tonight. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm into Boston too, and people know I think Jax is going to be a good pitcher, but I want to always keep emphasizing that I think he's going to be a good pitcher. I don't think that he's fully done it yet. He did have a 10 strikeout game, but even in that game, he gave up runs. And the bullpen behind him has been really, really bad lately, without a whole lot to play for against a Boston team that we know has tremendous upside. We've also seen them let down a few times lately. I'm not going to let that dissuade me from playing them because I believe they are the look, they're probably not going to score the most runs on the slate, but are they the most likely team to score the most runs on the slate? I would say they probably are. And I think that there's ways you can get different even within their stack and whatnot. And there's stacks you can pair them with that you want to get different, or you can play little two-mans. I do have some of that interest there as well. I've got a couple of like just Schwarber and Martinez. I've got a couple of just Bogarts and Devers, a couple of just Verdugo, just the outfield, Verdugo, Renfroe, JD is a 3-man on FanDuel as a secondary. That's the way I'm sort of treating that situation over there. But yeah, so it was a good time out there. Tell us a little bit. I mean, you guys look like you were touring stadiums and do all that stuff. I had a blast when we did that. I mean, I've been to a bunch of the DraftKings.
Yeah, this was the FanDuel Fan Fest. It was the first time they did that, where literally they just invited all of us and then some of their main fans that play FanDuel and stuff. Mm-hmm. And then they had like Champ Bailey was there, a bunch of Denver guys at the stadium. They had a bunch of games for us to do: basketball, cornhole. I got a hole-in-one, the only hole-in-one on the golf.
Oh, really?
I played it 2 hours in, so there was like 6 hours left to go, but I was the only one to get a hole in one at that time. So you earn points and then you're on this leaderboard. So I ended up with 5 billion points. So we'll see if I top 10 the leaderboard and get any extra prizes, game tickets and stuff. FanDuel is going to give out
that's awesome.
Jerseys. So yeah, I got a signed football from the Broncos guys. So yeah, there's a bunch of other stuff to do on the Fan Fest. And then we had the Chainsmoker concert, which was awesome on Sunday night. That was worthwhile too, man. That was a good time. So
sounds like they did a pretty good, pretty good job there.
Yeah.
I mean, it was always a blast. I didn't mean to downplay it when I talked about it in chat. I just stopped doing it because when I started doing this more and more for a living, it became less about the things, and I just wanted to be responsible with where I'm putting the money forward, And then it's always frustrating in satellites, as let's say you come in second. Like I had the football one a couple of years where it was a $65,000 prize and they're playing for $5 million for first. It was when the football got crazy. And I came in second in like 6 satellites or some crazy number. I don't remember, but it's like, you get your money back versus a $65,000 package or whatever it was then. And it was just brutal. But anyway, we can get into tonight's slate. I might have to run it just for a second at one point. But why don't we talk about the pitching, what we're doing? Because I'll just say, I guess, real quick, I do think Flaherty, Marquez, Heaney, Flaherty, Marquez, Burns are the best options. I don't mind Charlie Morton, but I do think that I'm worried about the weather in Chicago for the Marquez thing, not just the hitting weather, which is a little bit of a concern, but the guy pitches in Colorado and he dominates there against a high strikeout team, so I like him. So I'm putting him into more of my. He's not in my 555s anymore on FanDuel, but he's in my like 250. He's in my some of my 111s. I just couldn't quite pull the trigger there with the weather, and we'll cut out of here and get an update from Roth probably. Shout out to Roth and Roto Grinders for doing a great job. Anyway, that's sort of where I'm at with the pitching, and I do think that on DraftKings it's a whole different conversation. Who are you sort of considering for your SP2s? I know you can get Flaherty, Burns in if you like guys like on Baltimore. It's funny, I like Bundy as a long shot play, but I also like the Baltimore bats against them because you've got some really good value there. So where are you sort of ending up with your pitching on?
Yeah, I mean, Flaherty and Burns are coming in the top 2 pitchers. Morton's right there at number 3. I'm actually starting to lean to more Morton off of Marquez. I really like Marquez today, guys, though, but I'm playing some high dollar stuff, and I'm playing some of the live tickets tonight. So I don't know if I can chance it. I mean, I just need to beat 100 people. So I don't know if I want to chance it. If you're talking other guys that I like Bumgarner. I don't think anybody's talking about him. He's looking coming in about 10%. Pittsburgh strikes out a lot and hits a lot of ground balls, so that's a low owned option you guys can get to. I like that. I know people have been getting towards I don't know why, but Heaney's been popping up a little bit more in the projections, but I really like the Braves tonight, guys. The stack projections are telling me to play the Braves, so I don't like that play. So yeah, those are kind of the guys I'm getting to. And Jesus Luzardo, we talked on the Discord chat, guys. I know he's a good play. He's cheap. He's popping a little bit. I like him. If you guys are in the Discord, we talk about this stuff all day, stacks, sizes, top stack, ceiling projections. So jump in there if you guys are listening. Get in the Discord. We talk about this all day. So those are some of the guys I'm targeting, but I'm playing a little bit higher at like those like little smaller fields tonight.
Yeah, I like it. I this might be the first time in my highest buy-in on DraftKings that I'm using Madison Bumgarner, and I can't believe I'm doing it. Now, I don't have him at other places, in all fairness. You know what I mean? So it's not like I'm just locking him in or anything like that. I think there's a lot of guys that have the opportunity to have good games, but like you said, the high ground ball rate from Pittsburgh combined with Mad Bum's pitch type is really appealing, and he's been awesome. You could, I could say, oh, well, he's thrown so many pitches his last 2 starts. Why would they need to let him go out there? But he's sort of a battler like that. And this guy has basically been, over his last 7 starts has basically been money in the 8 starts. He's had the one bad start, which is oddly enough against this Pittsburgh team. So take that for what it's worth. But he's basically been money in the bank. You know what I mean? And I think at 7,100, if you want to pay up for bats, that's definitely a way I want to go. I think that he's an interesting way to. And I think that again, the Bundy thing. He's one of my favorite prop bets. He was a 3.5K prop early in the day. I haven't seen the updated K prop yet, but I'm guessing that it might have jumped. That was an easy bet, though. I don't think 3.5Ks is where his median is here. I think it's more around 5. And I think there's upside of 7 or 8 against this righty dominant Baltimore lineup. But again, I also do like Baltimore bats on the other side. And if we're just doing this, and if I had to make one lineup for my life on it, I think I would just probably play Flaherty and Burns together. And I do have a lot of that combination on DraftKings, just because I think that the ceiling is so much higher. I think you can get creative and play Tyler Mahle. I think you can get creative. I like the Morton idea. But I think Flaherty and Burns are significantly better. It does feel a little bit weird because I don't like picking on Cincinnati. But Burns is just, even if he struggles, his K prop actually came down. He was at 9.5 earlier today. Now it's 8.5. But all right, I gotta grab the door real quick. All right, man, you want to take over and talk a little bit about the stacks and maybe some one-offs?
Yeah, we can talk some ceiling stacks while you get the door. Guys, we're looking at for ceiling stacks, basically, we're talking Boston Red Sox, Angels, Rockies, Braves. You got the Twins, the Dodgers, and the Rays. Those are the top ceiling stacks on the night for DK. I do like the Rays. They've been doing really good away from I think they're away today, right? So let me pull up a little quick stat on the Rays. They're now 19-5-3 in the over and under as an away favorite. So they're smashing away. They're averaging 6.8 runs on the road with an average allowing 5 with an average total of 8. So yeah, guys, there might be a little smash play, a little sleeper team for you as the Rays. They're expensive bats, but I'm getting to them a little bit. Let's go over to FanDuel quick and talk. The only real difference is the Angels and the Braves are the second and third. The Rockies kind of fall down a little bit on the stacks, but they're third on DK. Dodgers are a little bit better on FanDuel if you guys want to get to them. I'm probably going to have a Dodger stack more on FanDuel. The Cardinals are popping a little bit more on FanDuel as well. But yeah, take some shots on the Rays tonight. They're kind of mid-stack. They got that 19-5 over and under prop as an away favorite right now. They're smashing as an away favorite lately at 19-5. So get in on that. So
yeah, I hear you. I did specifically go out of my way to build a Dodger stack to combine with my Angels. I do like the Angels even without. I don't usually do this and make just home run prediction calls, but I think Jared Walsh hits a home run tonight, at least one. I know these are not like way off the board plays, so maybe not exciting, but I do like him. You can use it, guys like Iglesias for filler or Gosselin for filler on FanDuel, to fill in the 4-man stack. Ohtani is the obvious play. And I sort of like the idea of playing Walsh and Stassi together on FanDuel, because even if some people do it, I don't think that's going to be the most common way you build your Angel, just because they both take up the first base spot and all that. So it does sort of, make it limited for what you can do elsewhere. But those guys with either Gosselin an Ohtani or Iglesias and Ohtani. Iglesias, who I never play, but I actually like the spot for him. That's where I'm at. So I actually think that, like Canine Bronco's bringing up about Berrios. Yes, he fits into a category with a lot of these other pitchers, but I'm wondering if I play Berrios, in a National League park with the high strikeout Yankees, why wouldn't I play Morton? That's the only thing I'm sort of running into. I just would rather get to Morton, I think, but I definitely understand it. And Berrios also with one of the more extreme hitters umpires on the slate. So does Burns, by the way, have that. But with Burns, I don't really worry about it quite as much because he's a strikeout monster. And even if he struggles, he's going to strike guys out. You do have Morton with the second highest K prop on the slate at 7.5 with a medium umpire. So I kind of like that idea a little bit as well. A guy who I'm playing a little bit of, and this is a really weird play, is Eli Morgan. I also love the Texas value. It's the same sort of situation I feel with Bundy. I actually think Eli Morgan's a decent enough pitcher. And people aren't, people have talked about Heaney a lot, but I don't know if people are really playing him. So if they don't play him, I might switch over a little bit of my Morgan over to Heaney, but on DraftKings. But that's where I'm at a little bit. The Dodgers are going to be completely unowned. The only thing I would warn people about the Dodgers as a full stack, as a 5-man especially, I like them better as a complementary, is just that San Diego does have an awesome bullpen. At the same time, it's the Dodgers, in my opinion, the best team in baseball. I don't think that I'm in the minority on that one. I don't think it's just because I'm being biased and I'm wearing a Dodger hat. I think they're significantly better than everybody else in baseball. And especially with, since the trades and everything, I think, what have they lost, like 3 games out of their last 20, I believe. So I'm very into the Dodgers, but I just don't think I'm doing it as much. It's more of like a 3- and 4-man stack for me than a 5-man, just because I have enough respect for San Diego with either the best or second best bullpen in baseball, depending on how you look at it. In a game that it really matters to them, where they're going to put their best foot forward, because this is like a must-win series, and it's a little mini rivalry, but it's a must-win series for both. Well, not for both teams, but it's important for the Dodgers, 2.5 back of the Giants, and it's important for San Diego to stay in the hunt. So I think I think you'll see the best foot forward, the best pitchers going. I'm getting a lot of this Baltimore bottom of the order. I like Urias. I like Severino. I've talked about this before. I don't understand how people don't agree with it. There was a study done about 4 years ago about catchers versus their former pitcher, and it was astronomically favoring the catchers in those matchups. And of course, it just makes sense from a logic standpoint, right? You caught somebody like Severino and Bundy, and Severino is just sort of coming up, but he still caught him. Their pitch types, and what they do better than anybody else does. So I like the idea of even playing Severino. He's in one of my 555s on FanDuel with a mini Baltimore stack with Urias and Santander. I did get the 4-man there with Mullins as well. I think that's a really interesting way to go. We've seen Bundy just get completely, this guy's given up 6 home runs in the first inning of a game, which I don't know if I've ever seen another pitcher do. So I'm just kind of into that side of things. But yeah, for me, I'm not getting as much Houston as I do like Houston. I just didn't get as much of it as I thought I was going to. I'm all over Boston, the Angels, Cleveland, and then I like the Dodgers. I think the get weird is the Jays. I love Cease as a pitcher. I think he's really, really good, but he struggles with control. You've got an extreme hitters umpire and a really struggling Toronto team. But overall, these guys are going to snap back into it any second, and there's so much power in that lineup. I just am not getting to as much of it as I thought I would when the day started. Where do you stand with Texas and their value? Because Adolis Garcia is probably the best value play on the board to me at 2,900 on EK. The guy's just he also does some stolen base upside a little bit with him as well, in addition to the home runs. Just look at his average fantasy points per game, and he's right there with some of these other superstars, and he's 2,900. Again, I think Morgan is a decent enough pitcher, but I do sort of like that little mini Texas stack. And you can play Peters, who's not the greatest hitter in the world, but he's 2,200, and you can play Nate Lowe at first base for free, basically, on DraftKings. So that's
I really like Garcia and Lowe. Those guys are popping in my builds. If you need a catcher there, you got Pozo or Trevino, both in the game, I believe, 7 and 9 batting. Like that. I know we talked catcher with Cleveland. You said Cleveland. Ramos is another cheap catcher option. I know we don't go position by position, but those are some of the value guys that I'm getting in a lot of Texas. And like you said, the Baltimore is another good target for the value as well, on DK at least. So yeah, I definitely like Texas. Texas is probably going to make my lineup with a mini stack. Or you could probably get crazy and almost make a 5-man. I don't know.
You're so cheap, you could, and maybe it's not that. Look, I don't think Texas is going to be the best scoring team on the slate, but if you get the right point per dollar guys, you pick your 3 favorite Boston guys. Let's say you want to play them with Devers, Bogarts, and
JD
or something like that, I think you've got something going there.
Yeah.
I can get behind that for sure. And go ahead.
I just made a 5-man Boston stack with three Texas guys that I really like. So
there you go. So we were
that lineup is saved in my queue here. I might be using it. So
I love it. So I was thinking about it earlier today. I just ended up switching a little bit because Travis Shaw is not the same hitter that he was before. I just want to I know he hit the grand slam, walk-off grand slam yesterday. I was watching that game because I was at the airport flying back and a bunch of Boston fans around with nobody out and the bases loaded, and basically you're getting T-ball pitches because it was 3-1 and he hit a home run to, the grand slam walk-off. Still nice. Maybe it boosts his confidence a little bit. They did a little pat down, they just started playing for them. He's 2,300 on FanDuel, so I'm using him to fill out my Boston stacks over there. He's like the one, cheap Boston bat that you can get with some power upside. So I just wanted to throw that play out. Yeah. So I mean, look, there's a lot to talk. I don't want to be the guys who talk everything. So I'll just say the guy, the guys who I am the most, Project Mayhem's, I'll answer your question in a second, but I do like I do think that the Angels are in a really good spot, and I never play the Angels for what that's worth. I like the mini Baltimore thing. I like Cleveland. I like the bottom of their order. I actually think there's some power with these young guys. You can play Yu Chang and Daniel Johnson for free, basically, and you can use them to fill out stacks. So those are the stacks that I ended up finding myself on the most. And I'm going to probably have to get a little more Dodgers just because I think the upside might be a little too high. It's a really fun slate, though. Anytime there's this many different decisions, this many ways to go, it feels almost wrong to play some of the chalkier things, but there's so many ways to get off the chalk, even within those stacks. You know what I mean? That's something we talk about quite a bit. People are like, oh, the team's going to be too popular. This team's going to be too popular. Well, the truth is you can almost always find, one or two low-owned guys there and then combo stack it with a team that's not going to be owned. And that's sort of, I feel like we're on the same page with that a lot.
Yeah, these big slates, Boston's coming in pretty chalky, but you can get different there in that stack. You're going to pick different pitchers. There's so many pitchers on the board. Get different with pitchers. Boston's going to be chalky. Then you're right. I stacked them with chalks Texas. But I'm going to be risking pitchers that most people aren't going to want to play.
Right.
No one's going to be playing Bumgarner. People might not be playing. Let me look at that build quick, but
you think Texas?
People might not be playing those guys. Barrios. We just talked about him too, and he fits well in that stack. Flattery. You can get really nice stacks with one guy is all you really need. If Barrios comes in at 5% and he's the top pitcher on the slate, you win on the money, even though you got Boston, Texas, and Flattery stacked. All in the same build.
Yeah, and we were talking about the stack things. One of the things that sometimes happens with the stacks, and it's not necessarily the best. I agree on the big slates, like with what you were saying in Discord earlier about the 5-man being the right way to go for the most part.
Yeah,
I just want to point out, I finished 7th and 5th and 3rd in 3 different tournaments last week with 4-man stacks, and in those games, my stack teams scored 1, 1, and 0 runs. But you get the other right plays in there with the combo stacks, and Nelson Cruz hits 2 home runs, and you're cruising. And whereas if I made it a 5-man stack, I'm not going to be able to get any of that. But it doesn't mean that it's the right thing to do. It's just to play devil's advocate to maybe, why it works. We had a guy win the FanDuel Millionaire, the DraftKings Millionaire Championship when I was there, and he did a 3-3-2 stack. And the 3-man and the 2-man teams scored a combined 2 runs, but the other 3 went completely nuts, and nobody owned them. And he got the pitching right, and it's just weird how you can win without your stacks fully hitting. It's better to do on small slates though. We saw last night the 2-2-1-1-1 or whatever won the thing. I just don't think you can get that creative on this slate. I think if it was doing anything, it'd be a 4-4 or a 4-3-2, a 4-3-1 or 4-2-2, maybe a 3-3-2 if you really like certain spots. But mostly, I think you're looking at 4-2-2, 4-2-1-1, 4-3-1 if you're going to not do the 5-3 or the 5-2-1, which is probably the optimal way to go.
A chat question is about Jax. That's pretty risky. He grades out bad in projections. Boston will be a little chalky, so if you want to take an MME approach against it, you could take a shot there. But he projects way too bad for a 14-game slate with a lot of good options.
Yeah, if I was playing a 150 tonight, I would have probably thrown it. I do agree he's really talented. I just don't think this is the spot, the environment, the situation you want to try and get that creative for me. But again, if you're playing 150, we saw that was the night that basically all of Chicago against him was like 30% owned. And, he goes out and strikes out 10 guys in 5 innings. They did get a few runs off of him, but he does have terrific stuff. Favorite questions for I'll answer, then you can go. Me, Jabroni, what's up? Favorite Dodgers for a 3-man. For me, I would say Muncy, Turner, and Seager probably. I like those 3 the best. And I think AJ Pollock is cheap on DraftKings and has had a sort of a quiet, incredible year.
I love Pollock. I was just that he would be in my 3-man probably at 3-7 on DK. I just love it. I've been playing him all year, so.
Absolutely. If this guy played for another team, because he kind of isn't a platoon fully, he just doesn't play every day because there's just too many. I mean, the Dodgers are just so loaded. They have to sit all-stars, when they're healthy. They don't have that fully healthy right now with Betts there. But if he played on another team, I mean, this guy's hitting over 300. He probably would have hit 30. He's been on pace to hit almost 30-plus home runs this year. And before he got injured, and he was great last year for us too. He was one of the best players in baseball before he got injured, and he's still a great hitter. So I really can get behind AJ Pollock would be probably the 4th guy for me. Also, we don't know how the lineup's going to shake out yet, as usual. So that's that. All right. I'm just going to mention a few other one-offs that I had on my list who I think have a good chance to go deep. I did mention it, some of these earlier. Soler. I didn't get to the Boston's to the Brave stacks. I totally agree with everything you said. I think that's a great strategy to try and to play them against Heaney, because we know Heaney can get blown up. What worries me is you've got a good bullpen behind him. It's a National League park. If it was in New York, I would be much higher on this, this situation. But that's the only, and they're expensive. That's really the only reason. But they're an awesome stack that I can't imagine they're going to be owned, right? Just because their prices.
No, they're not owned. They're coming in 5% less. So I love the stack, but the problem is I keep leaving out the wrong 5K bat, because I'm trying to take a shot at like the Jock at 3.7 or Arnott at, for catcher at 3.7. You put a couple of those guys in there. Which 5K bat you leave out? I left out Swanson yesterday. He hit the homer. Nobody else did anything, but so who's it going to be tonight? Jock could go off for a homer or 2. And you got sitting there with Freeman at 5.9 with no points and Riley at 5.1 with no points, but Jock and Arenado go and Duvall go off or something, So It's just it's a tough stack to figure out too.
Yep, I agree. We got the question about that Timothy just asked about. I love this question because I keep thinking all day long, am I making a mistake by not getting some of these Mets in here? I think Alonso, Baez especially grade out to be incredible plays. So I love a 3-man. You could actually do it on FanDuel, you could do it with Baez, and you could include Lindor just coming back. Those would be my 3 favorites. I think you could include JD Davis as a cheap option. We've got where's Drury hitting tonight? 7th, and he's minimum cost. There's a lot of ways to do it. I don't think I would want the full stack. Giants solid enough bullpen, not a great hitter's park, but it is better hitting conditions this time of year. And I think you absolutely can play these Mets. Just be aware of the guys like Drury are probably not going to play the whole game. Potentially JD Davis even could come out of the game at some point with the lefty-righty situation. But I do think Baez, Lindor, and Alonso are awesome play. Alonso's an awesome play. I don't know how no one's playing him, and I'm actually going to make it sure that I get some Alonso in my lineups. I mean, 4,400 for a guy who arguably has the second or third most power in baseball. Well, if you watch the home run derby, he's got the most power in baseball, but it's bizarre. He's 4,400 and in a great spot with the lefty righty, crushes left-handed pitching. I'm totally on board with the Mets. I like it as a 3-man, just sort of like Timothy said. So I think I can get on board with that. We're going to get out of here. I'm curious to see what Ross weather report. Rody, thanks so much for jumping in. We'll have to do a recording sometime this week. We're going to do a best ball show, guys. So that'll be fun. And Rody knows a lot more. I like to always wade it into my way into the season. I want to see how the coaches go, and I want to focus more on whatever sport's going on. But there's not a whole lot else going on other than baseball, which is not take the biggest genius in the world to figure out some of the right plays. So I think it'll be fun to do that. Why don't you give us anything else before we get out of here that maybe we didn't touch on?
Yeah, if you want to go to that Mets game, I mean, we didn't talk about Tyler Miguel at 6'9" on DK. You guys take some shots against him. He projects right there in that tier of Molly and Bumgarner for projection wise. But any of those guys down there can have some some good little upside. Eli Morgan's right there too, which we talked about too.
Yep.
So
I love the McGill
yeah.
call. I do have McGill in the lineup, or two maybe, but I'm with you.
A cheaper guy.
Yeah. Thanks so much for jumping in. What's up, Brooklyn Juice? Thanks you guys to the people that have been wishing family well and all that stuff. It's been a hectic time, and I'll explain it all at some other point. Hopefully, when everything, knock on wood, goes a little better. So anyway, guys, appreciate the love though, and let's get it tonight. Let's have some true DFSers at the top of the leaderboards, and let's talk. I'll be in Discord all night, so feel free to fire anything off. I'm sure Rody will be around. He's been awesome in the Discord, so let's have some fun, and we'll catch you guys at the top of the leaderboards, hopefully.
Let's get it.
Let's get it.